Hello, everyone. Cherif Medawar here, and I want to go over how to make offers on hotels and motels. I think this is an opportune time now that the hotel sector has actually taken the biggest drop, and you may find some phenomenal deals. I caution you to always look for properties with good condition and overall great locations. So I'm going to review with you the simplest letter of intent to purchase. This is what brokers will ask you for if you're dealing with lenders, if you're dealing with the sellers directly. This is a suggested form that I've used in the past successfully. It's kind of simplified, and it gives you an idea of the time frames and what you're going to be using. So let's go over it together. Letter of intent to purchase. This is for, of course, for hospitality and other type of properties. You're going to put the date right here. You're going to put the seller's name as a company, and then the care of whoever, the VP of the company, the president, etc. You're the name of your company, you're the buyer, maybe also your name, the address you have, and regarding letter of intent to purchase, the example here is the Hilton Hotel LAX in Los Angeles, California. Dear broker, seller, or if you're dealing with somebody at the bank directly, this letter shall act as an expression of interest for and on behalf of, for example, in my case, Cherif Medawar and or F.A.C.T.S LLC, which is my actual company, my real estate fund. If you go to mixif.com, you're going to see my fund. We have over 100 million in assets, mixed use, retail, etc. They're actually all performing very well. So we put F.A.C.T.S LLC, so you get to see the company, and this is the purchaser. It's assignee or nominee regarding the potential purchase of the Hilton Hotel LAX, and then you put the property address located at XYZ. Purchase price, you're going to put the purchase price you're offering. You're going to put X amount spelled out here, and then the dollar amount in numerical order for the referenced premises and its contents, including all fixtures, furnitures, and equipment currently located on the property, payable in cash, including loan at closing. So escrow deposit, usually you're going to put a deposit of some sort in escrow, 1 to 3%. It depends what you are able to negotiate with the broker, the banker, etc. on the phone before you write this letter of intent. Usually you want to put the minimum amount possible. It is refundable anyway for a period of time. We'll go over it. But you want to say, I will put, let's say, 2% of the offer price upon full execution of a mutually acceptable purchase and sale agreement, which amount shall be fully applicable to the purchase price at closing of the transaction. So that's the earnest money deposit. It's going to be applied to the purchase price. Said deposit shall be returned to purchaser if purchaser decides not to complete the transaction during the due diligence period as outlined below. Due diligence period is the period during which you're going to actually look and review the documents and the property condition, etc., to make a decision whether you want to buy it or not. Due diligence, let's talk about time frames here. Purchaser shall have 45 days due diligence period beginning on the date it receives all the pertinent documents requested to conduct the due diligence period on the property. Now, this is very important. You can ask for 60 days, etc. I like the 45 days. It shows them some sense of urgency. It is reasonable, but it does not begin from the date we sign the contract. It begins, look at this very carefully worded, begins on the date the purchaser receives all the pertinent documents. I'll give you even a list at the end now, pertinent documents, very, very basic due diligence documents you will need, because I know you'll ask me if I don't put it. So I'll give you just the basic stuff, not the full stuff that we do. The 45 days shall be the agreed upon period in which purchaser shall examine all aspects of the property and determine its suitability for its intended purposes. Within 10 days of contract date, seller agrees to provide pertinent documents, tests, reports, and other materials in its possession to purchaser to assist purchaser in this review. In other words, we're telling them the due diligence is going to start in 45 days. So we're going to need 10 days from today just to get us all the info. If they get it to us right away, good. It triggers the due diligence period right away. If they are going to actually take time, on the 11th day, I'm going to be sending them an email saying, hey, listen, I'm still waiting for stuff. This is the 11th day. What's going on? So they don't say, oh, well, you got 35 days left. No, no, no. It's going to start from the day I receive all pertinent documents. Okay. We've been there, done that, and we don't want issues. So we put it always in writing. Very good. Within 10 days of contract date, seller shall deliver to purchaser all leases, contracts, permits, approvals, and agreements relating to the premises for purchaser's review and determination concerning assumptions. Purchaser shall decide by the end of the due diligence period which obligations purchaser desires to assume. Maybe I don't want to take the elevator contract that they have. Maybe I don't want to take the gardening and equipment that's outside. I want to tell them within that 45-day period what I'm going to assume, what I don't want, and we can negotiate from there. Purchaser may terminate the transaction without further liability for any reason or no reason during the due diligence period, and the escrow deposit shall be returned to purchaser. You put the 2%, you're going to get it back. If purchaser decides to proceed with the transaction after the due diligence period ends, said escrow deposit shall thereafter be non-refundable. That means you're going hard. That means the money you put in is non-refundable unless seller defaults or some condition to closing is not satisfied by the seller. So if I go hard, that means my money is no longer refundable as a purchaser. And then I'm still waiting for some stuff from the seller, but they don't comply. Well, they're in default, then they need to refund my money. The parties may extend the due diligence period if they reach such an agreement and a separate addendum signed by the parties. So what I'm saying to you here is, at times, I may need more time. I'm not satisfied with this and that. I need to dig deeper with this. I'm still getting some reports about the comparable rents, the market share, about the average daily rates, etc. So I may say, you know what? Let me extend this by another week. Sometimes I have to put extra deposit. Sometimes I say my money will go hard, but I want to extend the due diligence period. I'm not going to start the process of closing, etc. I need a little bit more time. And I say here, the parties may extend. We're not coming to an agreement that we will. We just put it right there, and we say if we reach the agreement between the buyer and seller. All right. Included herein, the purchaser agrees to the following timeline hurdles as being part of the 45-day due diligence period. So there are some things that we as purchaser need to do to show them good faith and to move the process forward. A, if purchaser intends to obtain a new loan, which usually you would, the purchaser shall submit a full application to its lender of choosing before the 21st day and verify same to seller. So I need to submit an application to a new lender and say, okay, here's the application. I'm giving you all what you need. Here is my reserves. Here's my down payment, my proof of funds, etc., to the lender. And I need to show that to the seller and their broker. Hey, listen, I applied. I'm moving forward. Number two, which is B, the purchaser may order and pay for the completion of the updated property survey report before the 21st day and verify same to seller. What's property survey? The property line. I want to make sure that we're not encroaching on a neighbor. I want to make sure there are no issues with the people behind or next door, that there is dispute regarding the property line and the parameters of the property. So I will pay for an updated property survey as a purchaser, and I'll show them that I've done that. C, if the property is to be operated as a franchise, so you're going to have maybe Hilton continue operating it. Maybe I'm going to switch it to a Marriott. Maybe I'm going to do one of these sub brands, etc. I want to actually submit an application, the purchaser will submit a full and complete franchise application, including the application fee before the 21st day and verify same to seller. And I want to show the seller, yes, we're going to continue with Hilton. Because if you're going to cancel Hilton, there is a cancellation fee. If you're going to cancel Marriott, there is a cancellation fee. Red Roof Inn, whatever it is, there is a cancellation fee. So I need to show the seller what I'm doing and how I'm proceeding. Contrary to anything herein, if the purchaser does not verify to the seller the completion of items A through C on or before the reference date, the seller at its option may terminate this contract. So if I'm not complying as a purchaser, the seller can say, listen, don't waste my time, I'm moving on. Conditions to closing. The following shall be absolute conditions to closing unless waived by purchaser. So I have some conditions also as a purchaser. Purchaser's satisfactory review of all conditions and matters it deems necessary or appropriate during the due diligence period. I want to be able to review these documents. Give me the chance, give me the documents so I can review them. Seller's ability to deliver good and marketable and the feasible title to the property and all rights and appurtenances thereto. So we want to make sure that there are no issues with the title, that they will be able to turn over a free and clear title to us. Transfer of title shall be by special limited warranty deed. We'll see based on locations, etc. The attorney will help you with that. Closing shall occur on or before 60 days after due diligence. So we're going to have 45 days for due diligence. Then we're going to have another 60 days after the due diligence to get the financing, finish all the paperwork, and close. We give ourselves 60 days. Maybe we'll finish it in 45. Maybe the whole process takes faster. What if it takes a little bit longer? Usually at the end, if there is a couple extra days here and there, you can always work it out. Maybe you can put some more money and you work it out. But 60 days is sufficient. Period. Ends at a time and place mutually agreeable to the parties. Closing costs. Now, this is an important one. It's all negotiable, but I'm going to give you some guidelines of what we usually do. We say to be decided, TBD is to be decided, but usually seller shall pay the basic premium for the issuance of the owner's title policy, including the cost of the title search, binder, and premium, and preparation and recordation of curative title documents. Like anything they need to cure for the title, they will pay for it. The seller want to give us clear title, obviously they need to pay for it. The cost of any endorsement or additional coverage shall be paid by the to be decided. Is it going to be the buyer? Is it going to be the seller? Because it depends what's being requested here, all right? To be decided also who is going to pay for the preparation and recordation of the deed. Usually we do it 50-50, and all transfer taxes, well, transfer taxes could also be shared, or documentary stamps on the deed. Usually the seller shall further pay all then due installments and any existing special assessments and all delinquent real estate taxes, as well as any additional taxes assessed for a period prior to closing resulting from changes in the property's use or ownership. So this is obviously something the seller has to pay for. Current real estate taxes, utility costs, and other proratable expenses shall be prorated between the parties at closing. So we're going to prorate. We're going to close on X date. We need to make sure that by that date, the seller is going to pay for all the expenses when they were owners. From the date the closing happens forward, the new buyer pays. So buyer shall pay at closing the cost of recording any mortgages and mortgage taxes or documentary stamps applicable to purchaser's lender. Of course, the purchaser is getting the loan, they have to pay for these fees. Seller and purchaser shall split equally any escrow fees and miscellaneous closing costs. Each party shall be responsible for the payment of its own attorney's fees. Any cost not expressly identified shall be paid according to local custom. I gave you kind of the guidelines. I get a lot of questions about who is going to pay for what. This is a commercial transaction. It's a hotel. We do a lot of hotel deeds. You know, I love hospitality. It's taken the biggest hit, but it's phenomenal. It's cyclical. Hotels in good locations like near airports, destination locations, have steady performance. And if you know how to open your operational channels, your distribution channels for marketing and get that business in, you can do phenomenal. You can buy them based on their current numbers. Market comes back a little bit. You have a huge flow through, a phenomenal multiplier, make a lot of money. Broker, seller pays all brokerage expenses. Purchaser and seller acknowledge that they have not dealt with any broker other than X. If you each have a broker, one representing the seller, one representing the buyer, which is the listing broker and the buyer's broker, that's all right. Still, the seller will pay. Actually, the buyer pays because the buyer has to pay X. It comes to the seller has to pay the broker, the listing broker has to pay the buyer's broker. It's all paid by the buyer anyway, but actually we call it the seller pays XYZ, and it's really a burden has to be paid by the seller. If you're dealing directly with the banks, which is, I'm assuming you're going to be doing through the rest of 2020, 2021, etc., then, hey, you got you got a big saving there, and maybe the banks or whoever the owner, if you're dealing with the owner directly, you have a big saving and a good room to negotiate. But brokers have a great potential with this, and they are very helpful with it. So do not bypass them unless you really got some good angle and a direct relation with the lender. And we can talk about that in another video if you wish. Contract execution. Within 5 days from execution of this letter of intent, seller's broker or counsel shall generate a first draft of a purchase and sale agreement consistent with the foregoing terms, which shall be on an as-is basis, and forward the same to purchaser. In other words, we're telling the seller, talk to your attorney, let them draft the contract, send it to us, the purchaser. And then you as the purchaser can send it to your attorney. And the parties shall expeditiously and in good faith negotiate the final purchase and sale agreement. Yes, I'm putting an offer price on the letter of intent, but as I do the process of discovery, I'll discover some things with the due diligence, etc., and I may have to renegotiate some things. So this letter does not legally bind either party with the foregoing terms and is subject to the execution of a mutually agreeable contract for the purchase and sale of the property. There is a letter of intent, then there is a purchase and sale agreement, then is there a final negotiation for final points after we get all the due diligence documents and do our own due diligence. Then we get the loan and we close. The parties acknowledge that the foregoing does not encompass all terms that will be included in the final agreement of purchase and sale, obviously. The contract shall be executed no later than, and then you put the 5 days. Are you using 5 calendar days, 5 business days, etc.? And then you put a date here. Due dates are very important, and work with these dates. It gives you a sense of urgency as a buyer. It gives the seller some peace of mind. And I put myself in both situations. When I'm selling, we just sold the property actually on March 4th, 2020, right before the pandemic and all this. And there were, they had an option, they had to execute by a certain date, and they were hesitant, and we worked a slight compromise to push things along. There's always good negotiation, good faith, so long as the parties can meet and discuss, and things will actually move forward. Please acknowledge your receipt of this letter and seller's interest in pursuing the execution of a purchase and sale agreement in accordance with the foregoing by countersigning the duplicate copy of this letter enclosed herein in the space provided below and returning it to the undersigned by fax or email as soon as possible, but in no event later than X date, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, etc. I look forward to your reply. I usually send this by email. It's an attachment, and I have electronic signature, and I can put purchaser Mixif LLC, my company. I put the signature. This is a real estate fund. We have a lot of investors that come in with us. They get paid a lot of money for us doing these deals. They do it passively. You can join us anytime you want to actually get into these bigger deals. We expect to do very well at this time in the next market. Help a lot of people get out that are not paying, help a lot of lenders that are going to be foreclosing. And I'm going to be on a conference call in a few days here on the CMBS loans and what's going on. And these are the commercial mortgage-backed securities. And just the incredible changes that are happening in the market and how you can position yourself to help certain markets, help certain people benefit with your investors and have these assets repositioned instead of totally being shut down. And then I signed Cherif Medawar, CEO and fund manager, and we put a date, and then the seller signed and we start the process. So again, real quick, it's a very simple page and a half. We just say his purchase price, escrow deposit, due diligence, conditions up to closing, transfer of title, closing date and closing costs, and then the brokers involved, and then contract execution terms, and we sign. Now, let me also add to this video I'm doing the basic due diligence documents we'll need. Other than the standard full disclosure documents and due diligence on property condition, make sure to ask for current loan balance, current STAR report. The STAR report is a company, Smith Travel Research, a company that they look at a hotel and they see how that hotel is performing within a market. So all these hotels report to them their numbers. So you can see, you want to buy that Hilton Hotel by LAX, you're going to see how much average daily rate they're having, how many rooms available they have, how much actually in revenue per available room they got, what's their occupancy percentage, and that compares to other similar hotels in that market. If it's a budget hotels, you see other mid-budget hotels. If it's a high-end hotels, you see other, and these reports are actually aggregated and sent by region. It's gonna cost you some money, it costs them some money, it's well worth the money. I can spend hours talking about due diligence. We do that on consulting basis through a company, Global Business Association, that we do consulting for investors that we know. We do consulting for our own funds to be able to acquire these assets. But get the current STAR report, it tells you a lot. Get the year-to-date financial statements broken down monthly. Get the 3 to 5 years of historic financial statements. You want to see, are they moving up? Are they moving down? Are they staying steady? And find out what drives these markets. Like, where is the business coming from? You want the organization chart. So this hotel, how many people are running it? What divisions they have? Are they leasing the food and beverage? Are they running it? Is there even any food and beverage? A resume on the hotel management company. You want to know, is this run by Hilton corporate office? Is it run by a separate management company? Who is running it? And you want to know the resume of these people. You want to get their CVs. You want to see their background, how long they've been in the business, etc. Then you want the PIP information, if any. PIP is the product improvement process. What kind of project that they need to do to get up to the standards of Hilton or Marriott or whatever. Is there some work that needs to be done? They will send you that. The Hilton management company will send you that if they have the flag of Hilton, etc. Key market drivers. Where are they getting the business? Travelers? Is it corporate? Is it from the vicinity of so much? Is it by destination location? Like in Anaheim, they got the business from Disney, etc. Key market drivers. Franchise agreement, we need to see how many years are left on the franchise agreement with Hilton or whoever, and then the latest inspection reports. These big brands like Hilton, they do what's called a quality assurance report, team opinion survey, guest reviews. You can see a lot of that online. That's why I love buying hotels. I can see before I come in, 80% of my work is done before I even step a foot in the property. I can see what guests are saying. I'm buying a property right now, and it's a small 51-room hotel. The loan balance is 5.7 million. We probably will be getting it at 2.5 million. It's just a phenomenal deal. Why? I was able to look at the numbers. At 2.5 is a steal of a deal. The property will cash flow like crazy. We're going to spend some money improving it. We're going to put a new brand, not the franchise, but just a license agreement. We're just going to put their name for the reservation system. We'll operate it ourselves. I'm an expert in hotel management and operation, a lot of experience in it. I was the troubleshooter for Hilton hotels for many years, made them a lot of money. And now I do it for my own hotels and for my real estate fund and my investors. But the key thing here is I could look online for the guest reviews, and I figured out exactly what I need to figure out about the room challenges, the lobby areas, and I have exact plan, and we haven't actually physically toured the property yet. We'll do that once we finalize all this and the pandemic and this lockdown is over. We'll go in and we know exactly where the numbers are going to be. I'm actually within maybe 4 to 5% occupancy and average daily rate, and the property will cash flow great. So buy a good hotel in a good market at less than replacement cost with limited competition, and that's your formula, and place a good management company or a good management team, and you should reap ongoing rewards for many years to come. That's the way to do it. If you want a copy of this, you can always email me, and we will make it happen for you. CEO@mixif.com. This is Cherif Medawar. I hope you learned something today, and all the best to you and your acquisitions to help resolve what's going on in the market, so we can all move forward and continue growing and sharing together. Thank you so much, and all the best to everyone here.